Anyway, welcome back. This is the Pie for Breakfast Game Dev Show. I'm Chris, I'm your host, and today we are going to, as ever, talk about game dev. So, again, you can visit www.pfbstudios.com for the latest news on our games. You can also go to Dead Man's Trail at dmtgame.com, and this is the devlog for our game, Dead Man's Trail, which is currently on Kickstarter at kickstarter.com projects gobbledygook. Though, quite honestly, I can actually why don't I just put the short link in the, I'm doing this on the wrong computer. I have my other computer up, so let me do this on my Mac. All right, there we go. And I just posted that. Hold on. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to post this into the chat. So waiting for chat to load. What are you doing? Sorry about all the tech issues tonight and all the. There. Okay. So now we're in the link is in the chat, so you can go to the Kickstarter. So again, tonight we are going to talk about. So we're going to look again at some of the 3D models. So here's our deer, and we are going to be playing our. Oh, okay. So I wanted to talk, kind of go on the same thread we were on last week, where last week we modeled several characters, and I showed you how we can take one 3D modeled asset and turn it into several, just with some moving around of geometry and things like that. So tonight I wanted to continue on that thread and talk about how we make our game characters very efficient. Again, texturing. So two of the things that can take the longest amount of time is animation and texturing. And I may have mentioned this last week, but a thing that takes a significant amount of time on any game dev team, big or small, is animation. And so if you are, even on AAA teams, animators are going to be about 2/3 of an art team. So animation can be a bit of a time sink. So can texturing, especially with the Unity engine, because Unity, unlike something like Unreal, where Unity has, or Unreal, like you can make your level geometry and then you apply a texture and it's already UV'd to appear very nicely on that object. Unity doesn't have some of those features, so you have to UV map everything. So again, textures can be a little bit of a time sink. So to alleviate that, it's really smart to make textures in such a way where you are doing you're using one texture file for several different things and several different versions of things. So what I have here again is our deer model, and I think I have a run up. So yep, there it goes. It runs. Haha. So whoa, hello. Did not mean to do that. All right, so if I go to the UV image editor, so if I click in the lower left-hand corner, I can bring up the different editor types, and in Blender, all of these windows can become different types of editors. So if I go to the UV image editor, I can bring up the texture. So if I hit tab, it brings up, or it puts the character into edit mode. So this is its default pose. This is the mesh itself. And if I hit A, I select all the geometry. And you can see here in the right viewport how the you can see all the geometry. So these are what are called UVs. What is going on here? I did not want that. It's bizarre. I don't understand what it's doing. Ha. Oops. Oh, we're gonna do this again, are we, Blender? Okay. Sorry, Windows 8 problems. Once again. People who were here last week, you probably saw me fumbling around with Windows 8 quite a bit. Apparently that's going to be a thing tonight. So on the right here, you can see the UVs. And really, actually, if I deselect all this, you can see on the model, there are these edges that are bright red. The reason for that is those are seams. So if I wanted to turn something into a seam, I would pick an edge. I could hit Control E, and that brings up the edges menu. And I click this button that says Mark Seam, and it marks the seam. If I want to do the same, or if I want to get rid of a seam, I can get to the same menu, Control E, and clear a seam. Some of these options are also over here in the mesh tools, which is toggled on and off with the T key. I could scroll down and you can see UV mapping, mark seam, and clear seam. So what you do is you mark out what seams you want, and you can see I've marked it sort of down the center of the deer. I've kept and down the center of the legs, or down one side of the legs, isolated the hooves a little bit, cut up the tail, and cut here and along here on the nose and the throat. And then I've cut the ears out completely and separated them. So if I were to hit the U key here, I would get I get an unwrap menu, and I'm not going to do it because I already have it nicely unwrapped here and UV'd for the art in the game. But if I click the unwrap option, it would auto unwrap for me, and then I could go into this, and actually you can manipulate this stuff just like how you manipulate objects in 3D. So I could put things where I want them. And it's important to know where you want to put these lines, because you can get a very nice clean UV map, and that helps you with art. It'd be a big pain, and it would make not a very nice looking model if I had to, like if I had to go around, and I've done this on some models. I did it on like the raccoon and the squirrel. But if every limb were cut out, or if for some awful reason, like I just had red lines everywhere, I would make it very, very messy. Here it's nice because, as you can see, it kind of all lays out. I mean, it almost looks like a deerskin rug, the UV I have. And that's what you really want to think of this as, is if you were to make this in papercraft, where would you want to cut this thing so that you could have a nice thing to lay on the table and color in? So that's what we have here. And actually, and I didn't think about this beforehand, so let's see how much of a pain it'll be to do this. Textured zombies. Actually, let's do our plague zombie. Let's take a look at this guy. Plague zombie download. Let me see how long it'll take to download this, because I could actually show you UVs on a humanoid character so that you guys could use it as a reference for how you'd want to make these cuts. Again, it may not happen. That's a lot of. Oh, hey, there we go. Awesome. So let's open this guy up and take a look. Oh, opening up a new version of Blender. That's fantastic. Okay, so we have a roughly humanoid creature here, and actually I can show the animation too. That's kind of fun. Sort of a forceful, like, big walk. So, ooh, hello. Let me load the image again. I'm on my wife's computer. Downloads. What is that? Ew. Okay. Cancel. Close this copy and take this. Put you on the desktop. And desktop, plague zombie textures, plague zombie color. And are you looking? Aha! There we go. What is going on? Oh, I know why. I know why. Okay. I know exactly why. This is the other plague zombie. But hey, it's okay. Actually, you get to see how you can manipulate this stuff. So what I actually opened was a version, and I'm going to show you this in a second, but I have a version here that is a, it belongs to a, what's called a texture atlas. So if I wanted to make something nice and efficient, okay, so that's good enough for right now. There might be a couple of mistakes. It's not terrible. Okay, so we've got our plague zombie here. There he is in all his disgusting glory. And so if we take a look at how to unwrap this guy who is still humanoid. So if we have, so here's the neck, bloated as it may be, but I cut a set of seams along the neck, and then I move that seam up the back of the head, and then about mid forehead oh, that's interesting. Oh, it's because it's not quite, well, whatever. About mid forehead I also take a series of cuts, and that produces a UV island, and you call them islands, but that produces a UV island. Aha. Oops. That produces a UV island roughly like that. And again, you want it to be super simple, you want it to be super clean, and that's a nice way to have the head, because you just put the face in the center and then do the sides and the back of the head and the neck. And then similar thing, you want to have a seam running down the center of the body, and it's a little tough. Like, I had to push that back and do this kind of thing in the armpit, because this is super low poly. There's only about 723 verts here, so there is not a line going straight through his side. but I grabbed the closest one and traveled it down, and then I did a